Hello, everybody. Welcome to How to Amplify Your Outreach event. My name is Erica, and I'm presenting this information to you on behalf of the National Engineering Month Ontario Steering Committee, as well as the team that works directly with me doing the finer points of the coordination for the campaign. So that is me and Alan and Shivangana. Two of the three of us are on this call with you this afternoon. If you're watching this as a replay, you're certainly welcome to get in touch with us as well if you have any questions. For those who are on the call right now, you can put your questions in the chat box and I will answer them on the fly. Very happy to do that for you. We're going to run through quite a bit of information, expected to take 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll open it up for your questions. So as always, National Engineering Month is run by a coalition of organizations in Ontario, which is wonderful because it means that we get 4 times the networking, 4 times the grassroots participants, we get 4 times the impact coming back at us at least. And as you know, once we start to combine we get some synergy going and we get a campaign that's even bigger and better than ever. So that's just a note. Going into 2016, we're expecting to really break all of our previous records, and we were doing pretty well in 2015 and before. So congratulations and thank you to every one of you that's working so hard as volunteers to make this happen. So we're going to talk about something quite specific today called amplifying your event. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I mean by that. Why should we do it and when should we do it? 2 basic ways we're going to discuss this afternoon: amplifying through traditional media channels, what that looks like, and then also amplifying through new media channels. So it's kind of interesting, when we began talking about these new media channels maybe 3 and 4 years ago, people were not as familiar with the different social media channels and things. Now it's become increasingly common, so it's sort of neat to watch that progression over the years. Why amplify? Well, we know at the top level the thing that we're going after, the goal of the entire National Engineering Month campaign, is to shift public perception of engineering and technology and raise awareness, specifically in young people and the general public, dispel stereotypes, get rid of ideas of what engineering is, or fill in a blank spot. Let's face it, a lot of the time people have no idea what engineers do or what engineering technicians and technologists do. We want to share our experiences and our stories. To a certain extent, we're doing this because we want to provide a tangible record of the campaign and its results. A lot of us are running events that happen maybe just once or maybe once or twice. But after that, then what happens? When we do some of these amplification techniques, it means that there's something that lives on beyond the results of the campaign and continues to pay off. Our investment pays off over time, not just once on the day, but beyond that as well. It allows us to make the most of our money and our efforts in doing outreach. We're likely to get higher attendance, higher profile for the campaign, as well as setting ourselves up for more success in future National Engineering Month campaigns, maybe even benefiting other outreach programs and the profession itself. So those are sort of some top-level goals and reasons to employ these techniques. And we have this fabulous little infographic that our Shivangana put together for us. You've got a National Engineering Month event. You're putting a certain amount of effort into putting on that event. You're organizing it, you're designing it, you're ordering t-shirts, you're buying supplies, you're organizing activities, you're promoting it. You do it without amplification, you're going to reach a certain number of people. You add the amplification, that is going to dramatically increase the benefit that you're going to get in terms of the number of people that you're reaching and the quality on which you'll be able to engage with them. So there's just a little bit of a visual for you to convince you of that this is really a good idea. So again, looking back sort of the historical roots of amplification, we've got the town crier here. Once upon a time, that was the only way to get word around about something. It was the only way to get your message out beyond your 4 walls. This led to what I would call disposable outreach. I mean, this guy could really only yell his message once, and then he would have to somehow, probably spend a couple days walking to the next town to yell his message again. This was obviously extremely cost and time, not very cost effective, very laborious process. Once they added some innovations, technology, interestingly enough, or added another person that would spread the word and be able to get that further around, took a scroll and mailed it around. That allowed some sort of amplification effect to go on. Fast forward, a few hundred years, journalism as we know it, that used to exist with magazines and print books and newspapers, has been completely disrupted. This is bad news for some people that were getting their living from those sort of modern media tools. But we each now have the tools to be a journalist, to tell stories, to reach each other, and to get our messages out there. So again, bottom line is more people will benefit from your event and the message that you're delivering, the way that you're raising awareness about engineering and engineering technology, if we embrace this new way of going. So when are we going to amplify? Never too early to start. As soon as you know what your event is, you've got a venue, you've got a date figured out, maybe even before that, who knows? You can start to do some connection and promotion. During the event, you want to engage, even quote your participants. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And then the post-event follow-up and sharing is also a very important time to amplify. Just because your event's over doesn't mean that you're done sharing and getting all of the benefit of the effort that you invested. So before your event, we want you to consider putting together a tagline. Actually sit down with your team or a couple people from your team and thinking about how you would explain what participants will experience. Now, this is a little bit different than what you as an event organizer is experiencing or what you're putting on per se. This is looking at it from the participant's perspective. So there's a school of thought in marketing that says, if you were a customer, how would you sell to yourself, let's say, a bag of potato chips or a vacation to Mexico or a membership in a gym, something like that. You're putting yourself in the shoes of the person that's doing the buying, that's saying yes or no, I want that or I don't, and thinking about what's important to them. So I, as a potato chip manufacturer, might have certain things that I like about my potato chips that I want them to know, but actually what is much more important is what the customer thinks. What's important to them? What is the thing that they will come away from my product having experienced? So substitute customer for participants on your event, and this starts to get you thinking about what they might experience. So for example, you don't want to say, we're going to be putting on some presentations and they'll be short and they'll be in the cafeteria, and we're also going to be putting on some booths. That is what you're doing from your perspective as an organizer. However, here's what it's going to feel like to the customer, to your participants. Come learn about the latest trends in technology and how it is changing our lives, and browse the interactive trade booth, open to the public 9 till 4. This is really good information for them, and this is what they need to know. So basically, we don't want to overthink this too much, but put yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to try to attract. And that's what we call user-centered design. So we're just sort of ripping a page out of the designing handbook there. Think like one of your customers, one of the people that you want to have come to your event or be influenced by your event. We do suggest that you come up with an introduction to your narrative that includes National Engineering Month, because we think that this makes, going back to what do your targets think about this, they're going to be interested to participate, not just if it's sort of an isolated event. We're a random group of people who want you to come out to this building for some unknown reason. We think it's really cool if you can connect it to a big movement that's happening across Canada. There are hundreds of other events, and we're engaging people and we're helping them understand, as part of National Engineering Month, this is a celebration, it's a big deal. And then here in Sudbury, here's what we're doing. So that's pretty cool. And we encourage you to sort of plug the National Engineering Month campaign. We definitely appreciate that, as it sets the tone and helps people understand, oh, there's something called National Engineering Month going on, and encourages them to learn more, whether it's your event they attend or maybe some others. Again, going back to that idea of thinking about that person, just getting as specific as you can about that person in your target demographic. You've already decided who that is based on your event application. We know the age that you're looking at. You might be targeting, grade 5 and 6 students to come out on a Saturday and bust some bridges, or you might be looking at getting engineering and technology students together. You might be looking for professionals. You know who that is. Think about where that person hangs out, where they shop, where they look online, etc., and plan to reach them. So that's, again, just a little bit more of a thought exercise designed to help you work smarter, not harder, with the energy that you're expending around amplifying your event. So that target really says it all. You want to talk to the people that you know. Now that you've decided who that person is that you're looking for, anytime that you meet someone that matches that description, you're going to be sensitive to it. You're going to be, aha, here is one of my people that I want to come out to my event. It's going to, it'll pop to your mind. In-person asks are excellent. Personalized invitations are the best, much better than a mass email blast. People appreciate being invited personally. When you're doing marketing, like I said, you want to expend the least amount of effort possible to get the maximum amplification. We want to be efficient with our efforts. And if you're trying to target kids, think about where their parents are, or where those decision makers are. And again, a few examples of where they are: schools, libraries, rec centers, grocery stores even. I think that's a really good one. Doctors' offices. Where is it that they hang out, and where can you reach them to get them on board? If you're willing to do the work, and obviously some people are very extroverted and that's their strength. Other people are more behind the scenes type people, but it's excellent if you have a mix on your team. Some people are out there, maybe it's handing out flyers or starting conversations, on your campus or in your community to try and drum up some excitement. If you can do that, using social media is then the backup. So that's, I guess, a point that I want to hit before we talk about social media in detail, is that it does not replace face-to-face interaction and getting out there and building up the excitement. If you've got a mailing list from last year, that's ideal. You can email people. I know some people get a little bit concerned about invading people's privacy, but if you have gotten their email address and their consent to be contacted, that's the most important thing. That is, then you're covered as far as anti-spamming legislation goes. And also a note that really applies mainly to commercial messages. So if you're not selling anything, if you're not charging for your event, then you don't need to worry about the anti-spam legislation. Partnering through other groups is a great way, because you think about it. Let's say that there's a chapter of Big Brothers Big Sisters in my neighborhood, and I want them, I want to target them. If I'm able to talk to Big Brothers Big Sisters, say, hey, we're running this free event, we'd love some of your membership to come out, would you be willing to distribute this message that we'll send to you? And they say yes. All of a sudden they've done a whole bunch of work for you. You didn't have to go and find those couple dozen or even a couple hundred people. You've now gotten your message out to them, and building that partnership with them, it's a win-win. There's so much appetite out there right now for engineering and technology, awareness building and skills building, STEM, just look around for STEM type things, science, technology, engineering, and math. It's a very hot commodity right now. So from the little experience I've had with doing direct sort of promotion of events, people are really eager for it. They're excited. So you should have a good time going out there and rounding up people for your event. You can get people on a mailing list. If it's a yearly event, hopefully you might as well start thinking about, how you can round people up for next year, or maybe you already planned for it last year, so you've got a list you can dip into. And finally, this is just one about putting your heart into something. Why not invite your family and your neighbors and your some of your close friends to back you up? They'll want to be there to see what you're up to. I'm sure they'll be curious, even if they're not passionate about the topic per se. This is a great way to sort of put your money where your mouth is as an ambassador of your profession. So that's definitely something we recommend as well. Don't hide behind an email. Don't just reach out to strangers. Make it personal and invite your nearest and dearest as well. So here we go. Amplifying with traditional media. This is a partial list. This is not necessarily an exhaustive list of all of the different traditional media outlets available. If you have other things that you've been doing that are working for you, please do let us know, because we'd love to implement them or add them into this presentation. Newspapers have progressed quite a lot in the last few years since the digital revolution has happened. Some of them don't exist so much in print form anymore as they do online, but there are still some that exist in both forms, national, local, regional. Many of those newspapers offer free events listings, so you might as well add yours there, get some promotion in your community. You can write to their editorial teams with a press release or invite their reporters to your event. We have a press release. It's on the National Engineering Month website, and I will give you the address for that so that you can download it. And by the way, we are planning on giving you a copy of these slides, so don't worry about taking notes or anything. You'll be emailed a PDF copy of these slides that you can flip through anytime you want. And there will also be a recording of this webinar available online. Next, radio and TV. Again, maybe not the all-dominant medium forms that they once were, but they're still out there. Radio shows and local access cable TV, that kind of thing. Go ahead, request an interview. Send your most outgoing team member to go and do a little plug for the event. Invite them to your event. Why not? That saves you a lot of the trouble of capturing and reporting on the event yourself. Invite a professional to do it. And if you're lucky enough to have a university or college in your community, you can invite them. They normally have some kind of student publication or sort of community outreach outpost. Some have a radio station as well, student run. Invite them to get involved. Why not? They can do some of the work for you, and I've seen in previous years some event organizers have been able to get student journalists to come and create really beautiful video recaps of the different events. Engineering Idol is one that did that really well, and I believe it was George Brown College last year that did an awesome job in that respect. So a couple of shout outs there. Some other people that we've heard of do an amazing job of inviting local dignitaries or personalities. And Conestoga College does a good job of pulling together student coverage. Yes, thank you, Tarek. You're totally right about that. Inviting local dignitaries and personalities, very cool idea. I would say don't do it without thinking about it a little bit, because when you invite a dignitary, let's say maybe a municipal politician, your mayor or a city councilor, or even an MPP or MP, you want to make sure that you're managing that person, that you have someone who's available to make sure that they know where to park, that they know, just generally how to find the room, all that kind of thing. Clearly, you want to have those details sketched out for everybody, but especially when it's someone that's a bit of a VIP, you just want to take extra care to make sure they don't get lost or anything on their way to the presentation. And they're more available than ever. You can tweet to the Prime Minister if you want to. You can tweet to every major member of cabinet if you want to. Maybe that's more of a hint for the Ottawa folks. But we definitely encourage you to reach out to dignitaries if you have the bandwidth to make sure that you can manage those invitations possibly if they accept them. So as far as some of the media resources we offer, again, just a reminder, this is one of the criteria we're inviting you to score yourself on the events scorecard. First of all, we highly recommend that you designate a media coordinator. We know sometimes that there's a lot of stuff going on the day of the event. Have we got the supplies? Have we got the key? Have we got, the phone number of the volunteers that are coming? All of those details can be a lot to manage, and you definitely want to have someone who is just focused on taking care of the aspects that I'm outlining in this presentation today. Social media can be a good job to dedicate someone to do that. Designating a photographer or a videographer, for example. And if you can hire someone to come from the outside to do that for you, inviting the local media, even better. And again, 2 points available if you're up for inviting some local dignitaries or personalities. Highly suggest you have a media coordinator that looks after all this. Just designate it to one person. That's their only job. That's all they do. So a word about photos. If you're taking photos and you're going to be sharing them with us, and we might put them, for example, on the National Engineering Month website or in a report that goes out to our sponsors, we do want to make sure that we have their permission to use their images. So we do recommend that you get people to write on a photo release form, or if these are children, it's their parents that have to give the permission. This is a precaution. It's not something that's come up as a legal issue so far, and we really don't want it to. So if someone actively refuses to sign the waiver, to sign the release form, that means that they don't want their images or their children's images to be used. Really try not to get them in the shots in that case. Or not to show their faces, at least. That is a workaround. It's a little bit of extra work, but it is well worth avoiding the risk that we end up using someone's image that does not want that for whatever reason. We need to be respectful of people's privacy. Apparently social media is separate to that because of the terms of use of social media. Just an example of how technology is challenging the way that we think about things like privacy. But that is we do have a form. It's a standard form, and definitely recommend that you use it for the people that are there in person, that are going to appear on camera, whether it's video or photography. We also have a press release that's being sent out to several media outlets around the province. We do encourage you to download it and send it to your contacts in your community. That is a really good idea. You can also send this link, nemontario.ca/media, to any media contacts that you have, and we will have a media kit and sort of some easy, like, National Engineering Month FAQs kind of thing that they can download and utilize. So there are those resources there for them as well. The next thing that I want to talk about is your own event page. This is a very useful thing for you as an event organizer as you promote your event. If you go to nemontario.ca/events right now, you'll see that we have populated every single one of the events that's going on. And it's looking like it's probably going to be close to 300 of them this year, which is awesome. We have put in the locations that we have. Some of them where we don't have dates, we have to put this March 1st to 31st thing. That just means we don't have a date available. So if yours has that on it, please send us the date as soon as you've confirmed it, and we will update this. If you look at your event listing, and we encourage you to go check it out, go check out the website, go look at what we've got up there for your event. This is just an example. This is the Niagara College Welland campus. They're putting on an engineering leadership event, which is great. Here is the address and a little Google map. Here's the organizer contact information, as well as a short description of the event itself. This is information that this organizer provided for us. If you look and you don't like what's on your event listing, please let us know and we will update it. We post everything that you give us, and if you want to give us a flyer or a poster, we can upload that. That's no problem. We're happy to change the description if you're not happy with it. Honestly, at this point, it's sometimes it's hard to get the details from the event organizers. We hope that you will be inspired after you look to give us updated information. And then once you're happy with your event listing, use that URL in your invitations. If you have your own event website, we can put that on here as well. We feel that this is really key to establishing the sort of magnitude of the campaign, that we host your own page as well. And if you're a team that's working on a bit of a shoestring, maybe your organization doesn't have a website, or your event doesn't have a website, we are more than happy to host that for you. That is one of the sort of services, I guess, we provide to you as our event organizers. So there's your event page. Send that around and make use of it. So there's a question coming in here. Can we rebrand the name of the event? We've had people suggest that National Engineering Month Day is not so obvious. Awesome idea. I'd first like to point out that you are thinking from the point of view of your participants, which is great. To us, it's obvious what NEM Day is, but to your participants, maybe not. So yes, absolutely. If you want to change the name of your event, that's very easy for us to update. Just send us the description of what you'd like to change, and we'll get that done for you. Yeah, thanks for the question. So amplifying, that takes care of before. Now we're into amplifying during your event. Do take pictures, take videos with that proviso that I mentioned earlier about the photo release form, the media release form, as well as noting the key messages that your event presented. So we spoke a little bit about that last week when we talked about measuring event effectiveness and what the messages are. Make sure that you sort of note those things and how they came through, as well as the way the participants reacted. What did they say? What did they do? When was it that a big a big laugh went through the crowd when something in particular happened. That's part of the story. What does that mean? What does that say about what people thought about the event? You can do interviews yourself, either on or off camera, on or off the record. We also suggest that you utilize the participant surveys, which again are a tool that we spoke about last week. So if you missed last week's webinar, by all means, check out the replay on our Engineering Outreach Resources page. It's called Measuring Event Effectiveness. So basically, we're saying take the data, get the scoop of what happens at the event on the day, sort of see what you can capture, and then find a way to share it, either through traditional media or by doing it yourself through the newer media channels, or ideally both. So we're really not saying that you should do one and then the other, one or the other, but both is absolutely ideal. And just a quick note, after your event, you can send us your pictures, videos, and event write-ups. You can post them yourself. If you're active on social media, that is great. Send us links to coverage you found, either of your event or other events. Send us links to the write-ups that you've done. If you put that on your chapter website, we would love to I guess further amplify that for you by putting it on our website. Really builds that sense of accomplishment and recognition for the campaign. It feels really good to be recognized for your achievements and what you've done. We know how hard you work on these outreach events, so it really makes sense to kind of buck our natural instincts to sort of work hard and don't care who gets the credit. I think that's something that we all sort of feel as engineering and technology people. Reverse that instinct, brag a little, make sure you know, like, the goal of what we're trying to do is to be visible and get our message out there to the general public. So the more that you can sort of create opportunities for more people to know about what you did, either before, during, or after the event, that's ideal. And if you had a reporter or a journalist give you some coverage, be sure to thank them and maintain that connection for future events or for anything else that you're doing in your chapter or organization around the clock. So here's a highlight, and there were lots and lots of great success stories of event organizers in previous years getting some nice recognition. Lots and lots of local media coverage, which is fantastic. It means we're reaching those small communities as well as the big cities, which is very important for our diversity mandate. We want to make sure we're reaching out to lots of different people. This is really great. This is the University of Windsor Engineering Society. They had 12 photos and a decent-sized several paragraph write-up underneath this photo. Aspiring engineers take flight at the University of Windsor. Amazing. And even extra bonus points here. This is a national news source. And they said, the subtitle here, you might notice, the competition is designed to get students thinking outside the box. The organizers said that. They got quoted on it. This is phenomenal because thinking outside the box, really, that's another way to say thinking creatively, and creativity is one of our messaging guidelines around engineering and technology. So full marks to the University of Windsor ENGSOC. Congratulations. I think they're the only ones to get onto a national news service. I could be wrong about that. Feel free to send it in if you've seen something else. And we hope that this year we'll have even more success making a splash on the local and regional and provincial and national media scene. So I'm going to switch gears now and talk about social media channels. These are some of those direct tools that I mentioned, and I'm going to speak a little bit about each platform because you don't necessarily want to be on all 4 platforms. It might not be worth it. It depends on your goals and your demographic. So Facebook, maybe 5 years ago, the typical user was sort of late teens, early 20s. That demographic, that typical user age has migrated upward. Now it's much older. It's sort of the adult, it's the grown-up place where the mom hangs out, sort of the moms and dads hang out sort of thing. So think about that. Twitter is quite a free-for-all. It's sort of the most open and most balanced sort of forum. It's also a little bit strange. I don't know if you've ever gotten lost on the bad side of Twitter, but there's some crazy stuff out there. It's the Wild West pretty much. It's wide open. Instagram is teens and tweens. So if you want to reach them, that's where they are. They are taking pictures of their lunch and and then posting it with a million hashtags. And obviously LinkedIn, that's where the professionals, maybe some post-secondary students, but mostly professionals and businesses are located. So we know from our experience it's actually very difficult to do a good job on all 4 channels at the same time. We do our very best, and we are present on all 4 since our main demographic cuts across all of those. But something to think about, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. Better to focus on doing 1 or 2 channels really well than trying to do all of them. Hopefully that makes sense. So some secrets to social media success, regardless of which platform you choose, make sure you post regularly. And we as a campaign, as our National Engineering Month campaign, we start posting regularly in January to start building some of the buzz, build a bit more momentum and following. So then by March, people are already, ideally, they're checking in with us every day to see what's going on. And they're in the habit of sharing our stories and responding to our questions and things. You want to share your experiences in getting ready for your event. Drop some interesting tidbits. Maybe say, "Wow, we got our logo for our event today," or "We received our posters," or "We're so excited, only this many days to the event." This makes people feel as though they're coming on the journey with you, and it engages them. It makes them feel sort of like they know you, so you're already sort of warming up your audience ahead of time. And you can do this really effectively with just a few posts or, keen observations. Start conversations on topics you're interested in and topics that align with the theme of your event. So we'll talk a little bit more about how to choose which topics to post on and to start conversations on. Be generous. Retweet and share. I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. Share the posts from other like-minded organizations and people liberally, generously, and it will come back to you. It's one of those, pay it forward things, and you'll start to have sort of online buddies that you always sort of trade questions back and forth and reshares. Use the campaign hashtag NEM2016. If you remember nothing else from today's presentation, remember NEM 2016. There's a lot of action on that already, and we're still a few weeks out from March. And that there's a theme, a place for you in engineering and engineering technology. So again, we're trying to emphasize the inclusivity, sort of the welcoming nature of the profession. We don't want this to feel like you're only allowed in if you're super duper smart and you have 99% in all of your classes. It's, if you want to come work with us on solving cool problems and shaping the future, there is a place for you, whether you go through the college route or you go through the university route or some other route, there is a place for you. So hashtag place for you is another good place to look. A few other guidelines. You want to make sure that your profile looks like you've paid attention to it. Do not leave that negative space avatar on your profile picture or the egg on Twitter. That is just definite sketchy side. You want to make sure that that's all nicely filled in. Use some nicely branded image that represents your organization. You can integrate the NEM logo if you want to. Post links to your other social media accounts if you're on more than one platform. Add a link to your website, all that good stuff. Stay on topic, and again, I'll talk about that in a minute. You want to really create some guide rails for yourself to say, these are the topics we post about. We're going to be very consistent in that. It establishes a theme. It helps people understand what to look for, and it helps them find you. There are people out there who are interested in certain topics, and if you make it clear that that's what you're interested in too as well, and you stick to that topic and aren't all over the place, they will find you, and they'll be big fans. Keeping it consistent as well. What I mean there is make sure that you are posting regularly. We recommend here 4 or 5 times a week. I guess it's more important, I would say, to be consistent than to be super frequent. And there are tools and things that allow you to bank your posts and let them post themselves on sort of a time release formula. Buffer is one. Hootsuite is another. And if you're posting on Facebook, they've actually got a schedule your post option. So there's really, you could look at it once a week. It doesn't have to be a big time suck every single day, unless you enjoy doing that, in which case all the more power to you. But there are tools that help you post very frequently without taking up a whole lot of your time. Again, obviously, I have to say this. It needs to be professional. It needs to be It needs to meet, all the ethical guidelines that we would expect from you as ambassadors of the profession. You are representing engineering and engineering technology, representing them as well as the partner organizations that are a part of putting on this campaign. So if in doubt, don't post it. We want to stay away from making any kind of insulting or overly political or sort of any kind of inflammatory statements. And if you don't know what I mean by this, please let me know, because we'd be happy to clarify it for you. Again, we've had very good experiences in the last few years, even when we've turned people loose on the social media channels to, tell stories and be creative and take ownership of the messaging of their events. I don't know that we've had one single problem, but I do need to remind everybody of that. It's important to act professionally. So creating your concept cloud, this is a concept we've been talking about for a couple of years. We used to get the question that was all about, what do I talk about? How do I know what topics are okay to post on and which ones not? So creating your concept cloud, that helps kind of unite everybody. If you've got more than one person deciding what you're going to be posting, it helps you keep sort of a consistent theme. And here are some concept clouds, that we recommend, sort of a collection of themes that everyone should be sort of thinking about and saying, well, if it's about creativity, we can post on it. If it's about sustainability, we can post on it. If it's about the future, say development, society, all of these different themes, the importance of diversity, these are sort of the things that we're aiming to send a message about as far as the National Engineering Month campaign as a whole. So those are the things that you can post on. And again, you don't have to do all of these. Better to focus on a few of them that really relate to your theme, the event that you're putting on, and make sure that you transmit them very consistently and effectively. So here are some of the themes, and you've seen these before most likely. We've been talking about these messaging guidelines for a few years now, because we know that they are the most effective ways to talk about engineering and technology in a way that will really get people excited. These are people who are not used to talking about these highly technical subjects. The point is that you don't overwhelm them with technical detail, that you tell a story that they can relate to, that means something to them. So again, we're sort of back to that user-centered design idea of thinking about your audience, what are they most interested in, and make it relevant to them, make it exciting. So there's a ton of problems out there to solve. We need diversity of thinkers. We need lots of different people to come together to solve these problems. We need all the creativity that we can muster. So there is a place for you. How we shape the world around us, that's a really cool one to come up with. What are the different things that have gone on over the years that have shaped the way we live, and what are the various ways that engineering and technology shape, even the room around us and all the objects in it. Creativity and imagination, not always things that we think about when it comes to engineering and technology. Sometimes we get a bit of a bad rap as being a bunch of calculating, very analytical people that don't have that imaginative component. But really what our profession is about is turning ideas into reality, and also being of service to the world around us. So health, safety, and happiness. It's a people profession. It's about working for people and serving humanity and making a world of difference. So there you go. There are some other themes, some food for thought, things that you can start conversations about. And we've given you a little bit more. Again, you're welcome to flip through these and think about them. Give us some feedback. Tell us what you think. Tell us on Twitter. Tell us on Facebook which of these sort of concept clouds make most sense to you. So great. Yeah. This should give you the ability to start conversations. And when you think about the way a cocktail party works in real life, you don't just sidle up to the first person you see and say, did you know that in 1920, the very first, nano engineers were on the road to making their discovery? You don't just walk up to people and start giving them your spiel. Ideally, you don't anyway. You say, hey, how are you? Good day we've been having. What brings you here? That kind of thing. And then you turn it over to the content that you want to start delivering to them. You don't just blurt out the thing that you want to say right away. So here are some ideas on breaking the ice on social media. Obviously, it looks a little different than in the cocktail party real live scenario, but that is useful when you think about the ratio. Sorry, I forgot to say that. So mostly you want it to be social and conversational posts. about things that people are interested in, things that draw them in, topics that they'll be interested in. And then here's where you get to give your message that's about, hey, come out to my event, or hey, sign up for this contest, or something that's about, here's what I want you to do, or what I want you to know, versus something that will be interesting to them. And I guess you've sort of, you're grooming your audience for the things, because if they're interested in these initial questions, they're going to be interested in your event if you've got that properly aligned. Hopefully that makes sense. Asking people how they're going to celebrate NEM 2016 is kind of an easy starting point. Maybe they don't know what NEM 2016 is, so they write back and they say, hey, what is NEM 2016? Great way to start, because everybody that sees that post is going to get the benefit of understanding the answer, and you've just impacted a whole bunch more people and increased the profile of the campaign. And we have these interactions over and over and over again, multiplied by, you know, probably a couple hundred or 500 event organizers across the province. We're starting to get somewhere. We're starting to really make a dent on people's understanding of what's going on. If you're speaking to someone that's already in the profession, engineering or engineering technology, what made you choose it? That's a great conversation starter, really gets people thinking about their values and motivation and what was it like then. Storytelling is a very powerful tool. And what are some of the most important challenges you solve in your work? Who are the people your work helps you serve? Notice we're not saying, please tell us all the technical details of your job. We're sticking to nice, broad, easy to understand and easy to relate to answers and questions. So then also you want to say, hey, check out our event. You're invited, just X more days to our event. Are you coming? That kind of thing. Really great once you've started to engage with an audience over time. So what does your audience care about? Ask that question. Here's Kim Allen. He is the CEO of Engineers Canada. As you might know, he is really good on Twitter. He is just, I think he's got maybe 16,000 followers or something crazy like that. But recognizing that means that he's done a very good job of defining the things that he's interested in, all in and around the engineering profession, and retweeting and sharing things that are of interest to people. Instagram is another great one. As I said, it's for a younger audience. In this case, we posted something around National Engineering Month in 2015. Look at this. It's #March. The hashtags basically they mean that they're basically like tags that sit in your description and make it searchable, so that anytime you click on one of those hashtags, it takes you to all of the posts that everybody has been posting on that subject. So you can post photos and short videos. People go nuts with the hashtags on Instagram. Yeah, you'll notice that if you spend just a little bit of time on the platform. Something to notice about Instagram is you cannot post from a desktop or laptop computer. It has to be posted from your phone. And that's something that they've sort of built into their platform as a way to ensure that people are, I guess, out and about when they're taking their photos. Getting started on Instagram, this is pretty much what you do. It works in a very similar way to Facebook and Twitter. You can tag people, choose a photo, choose a filter, make a caption, and then you can also connect together your different accounts. So we're mainly just focused on Twitter and Facebook of these, but if you have a Flickr account, Tumblr account, Foursquare account, then you can pop that on there as well, and it will update on multiple platforms at the same time. So there's another way to save time if you're concerned about waiting a long time. There are tons of hashtags. If you want to burn up a couple dozen hours, please go ahead on Instagram. You can do the same thing on Twitter. Engineering problems is kind of a humorous look at what it's like to be an engineer. A lot of them are related to doing math and physics problems in the post-secondary educational space, but others are sort of tongue-in-cheek on life in general and life in the profession. So there's a lot of great storytelling, some not so great storytelling going on out there, and you can, like I said, you can spend quite a bit of time looking around and seeing what's there. So that's Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is another platform that's incredibly popular. This is what our page looks like right now. This is actually the 2015 branding. We're going to be rolling out the new brand on March 1st. You'll see it's actually a very pretty red color this year, so you'll get to see that. We're actually, I think, up over 700 likes now. So if you post stuff to us, or if you tag National Engineering Month in the in your post to Facebook, like us, we will like you back. That is a great way to get more shares. If you're wondering how to find us, you can search us on National Engineering Month Ontario at the top. You can like lots of different pages. Engineers Canada is a good one to start with because they're very popular. Look at that, 1,300 likes. They probably have even more by now. And this is what will happen once you like this page. It will give you an assortment of other suggested pages to follow. Almost like when you're shopping on Amazon and it says, people who browsed for this item also liked this. And they have an algorithm that's very, very strong and sticky, draws you in looking for more. So once you start liking certain pages, you won't find it very hard to find more things to like. And before you know it, you'll be in the middle of this big happy family. So who do you follow on Facebook? Like we said, Engineers Canada, that's a good one. National Engineering Month founding partner organizations are also very active. So besides National Engineering Month Ontario page itself, we've got PEO, OSET, OSPI, and local chapters of all of those organizations. Engineers Without Borders Canada and the local chapters. First Robotics Canada, Actua, which is an organization that does great youth outreach across Canada. Inspire, which is it's actually an organization that was born out of National Engineering Month event organizers, and they do great work with Girl Guides, Brownies, and Scouts during National Engineering Month. Science Expo, which is aimed at high school students. And then there are just a ton of organizations around women in engineering, Ennui, WISE, getting them active and resharing their content as well to help them reach a broader audience is something that will really help boost your profile as well. So add the other organizations with a similar mission and then see who they're following. It will not take you long to find lots. So remember we were saying earlier it's a good idea to really target your asks. We showed you how you can like things, you can share things, you can tag your friends with the @ symbol in the comments, and then in this case, Rebecca Keevel is going to get a notification to say, hey, maybe I should sign up and help out with the Inspire Grow Guides events, for example. So again, we consider that sort of the online equivalent of inviting your neighbors and your aunt and your friends and family. Tagging the friends that would be interested is a great way to sort of pay it forward. Invite them to your own events. Invite them to other events as well. If you have some friends that are up in Sudbury and you're in Ottawa, great opportunity to give a shout out, give a connection, say, hey, go check out this event. There's this cool thing going on at Science North in Sudbury. And there is, by the way, you can read about it on the event website. So why tweet? I mean, I think this is it's very similar. There's not sort of a philosophical difference between Facebook and Twitter. It does work a little bit differently in that you can post something and tag people. You post a photo. If people like it, they will retweet it and favorite it. It actually looks a little different now. There's a heart. But we really like this tweet from Rosemarie Almond, who does the Inspire workshops, because she posted this on January 21st to help get people excited about March. So she's really doing that thing about building the buzz to the events and sharing a little bit of the event ahead of time to get people excited about it. So on Twitter, very similar cast of characters available to follow. Please follow us at NEM Ontario. OSET and OSET President are active as well. PEO HQ is on Twitter now, and as well as O_S_P_E, that's Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. Very active, very good Twitter account to follow. As well as the chapters, basically any of the PEO chapters and OSET chapters, a few of them are on Twitter as well as some of the higher profile folks like Kim Allen and Annette Bergeron, who's a past president and very active advocate for women in engineering. Commander Hadfield, that's the most famous engineer in Canada probably. follow those folks, see who they follow. They'll follow you back. It'll be a great time. So if you share people's tweets with your followers, that's the retweet. It looks sort of a little bit like the recycle symbol here. You click on that, you're sharing someone's content out to a broader audience and supporting them, and they will, sharing is caring. They will do it back to you if you build up that connection. You can use hashtags on Twitter. In general, you use fewer hashtags on Twitter than you do on Instagram, but it's the same sort of thing that you can create these put people's handles, that's sort of their username on there, means they get a notification, and then once you mention them, they're quite likely to retweet. And again, don't forget the hashtag for the whole campaign. In this example, this is from 2015 because we've been building some nice momentum on Twitter for a couple of years now. This year, obviously, it's NEM 2016. You can look on engineering, outreach, culture, eng culture, and eng tech is another good one that's in the mix as well. Something to note, it's a really cool idea to do what's called live tweeting. Basically, that means you send a whole bunch of tweets in a row to sort of provide a running commentary. It's sort of like an online version of the color commentary on a sports match that you might watch. I don't know how many of you are following the news now. There are a couple of quite high-profile court trials going on, and they have reporters inside live tweeting what's going on in the case, like what the lawyer is saying, and then what the defendant ended up, what his expression looked like, all that kind of thing. And it's not breaking any laws, but it is a really effective way and a very powerful way to share the main idea. And again, we're getting at that idea. There were only so many people in this room. This was me doing some live tweeting at the Engineers Without Borders National Conference in 2015, but I managed to share the ideas and bring in some conversation with people that were outside that room as well. So brings your online audience into the room and really builds on this idea that we're talking about around amplification. A great thing, if you don't have someone who can type fast enough or who is savvy enough at getting everything into 140 characters, it's definitely a skill. So you want someone who's nice and media savvy, knows how to use the social media tools, in charge of that. And if you don't have that, that's okay. Fewer quality posts are just as good as tons and tons of posts. Here's one example. Participant from a grade 7 workshop of Mission to Mars. So probably most of you will recognize this is the participant survey that we give out. If you're not familiar with it, go check out our Engineering Outreach Resources page and download it. You give that out to your participants and they give you some awesome material to work with. For example, here's someone saying, I thought engineering wasn't fun, but now I know it's fun. Perfect, 10 out of 10 there for an experience and a takeaway. And that's a really easy way to have some material to blast out there. And look at this, we got 6 retweets on this. So that's actually quite a few retweets. That's lots of people liking that message and transforming it, amplifying it further. So now all kinds of people are reading this tweet as well, and they're getting the benefit of having been in the workshop. Just a little slice of it. We're improving the profile of the campaign and the effectiveness of the campaign, magnifying it through our efforts. So here are a few more ideas of hashtags that you want to check out. NEM 2016 is actually the main one, as well as National Engineering Month Ontario. Hashtag engineering, technology, eng tech, which is short for engineering technology, which is the membership represented by OSET and the Ontario technology students. Innovation, obviously that's a good one. I engineer, world of difference, shape the future, health, safety, happiness. You'll recognize those as the abbreviated versions of the messaging guidelines. A great way to transmit those as well. Big Beacon you might have heard of. That's a movement to transform engineering education. That's really interesting and powerful. Eng culture, place for you. Engineering selfie, go check that one out. That one's pretty fun. Take a selfie of yourself doing something engineering-like. Hashtag Iron Ring is another good one. Those of us who have graduated from a university that gives out Iron Rings know how exciting that is. And by coincidence, the engineering Iron Ring ceremonies do tend to happen in March, which is pretty cool. I am inspired is another good one. Of course, that comes from our organizer, Inspire. So note, hashtags are not case sensitive. You can capitalize them as you want to or not. It doesn't really matter. It's all going to show up. Here are some examples from EWB Carleton. They're doing a good job of keeping a nice active profile on Twitter and asking questions. Look at that. Great way to get a response back right away from people. Ottawa PEO, well done. See, they're retweeting other people's content, and they're also passing along and organizing things on Twitter. You really can spend an awfully long time. If you're excited about it and it's getting a lot of good results for you, then, by all means, continue to use it, not just during National Engineering Month, but all year round. OSET Durham, again, they're doing a great job. They're retweeting some people's. They retweeted our tweet. Very nice of them to do that, showing how NEM 2016 is coming together, as well as posting some of their stuff saying, members and guests had a great time last night. Stay tuned. Look at that. They used a hashtag OSET, and then they tagged PEO Lake Ontario, which is their local PEO chapter as well. So yeah, some really great ideas. If you're feeling overwhelmed, like I've just thrown way too much at you, again, focus on using the tools that you have well. Absolutely no need to be on all 4 platforms or on multiple platforms even. Choose a few messages, choose a few themes, get a couple of things working well, and then feel free to add to it after that. Maybe even wait till next year to build on it. Brainstorm on the overall goals. And we encourage you to mix up online and social media messaging with old-fashioned techniques. So that's all I've got. I'm about to stop the recording. I'll just remind you that NEM Ontario is where you can find us pretty much everywhere. And then hashtag NEM 2016 is the main one. Engineering, EngTech, technology, place for you, and nemontario.ca. That's where you can find us. So looking forward to seeing you online during this campaign. Thanks so much for coming.